Hello Transformers fans! Adam here with a Transformers review with a Legacy United edition of Galvatron. Let's get into it. So, he comes with these two things here that are supposed to be the revenge ship, which Unicron gave him after he turned Megatron into Galvatron, though they didn't exactly paint these the right color. But they take him to the side of his cannon when he's in his alt mode, and into his back in his bot mode, and they also act as extra blasters for Galvatron, either separately or you can tab them together, just like this, and create a super blaster. Just prop that right in his hand, and there you go. Nice little extra option. But that's all the time I'll spend on this because we never saw this on the show. The other accessory that he comes with is the Matrix of Leadership, because he did have the Matrix for a little while after he and the Decepticons blasted Ultra Magnus into pieces. He didn't have it for too long though. After trying and failing miserably to use it against Unicron, he had it taken from him by Hot Rod here, who did use it against Unicron and evolved into Rodimus Prime. Alright, we'll put the Matrix aside, get out my turntable, and focus on Galvatron himself. I had the original G1 Galvatron, and he was a classic case of G1 badness, being all stiff and blocky, not to mention a completely different color from what we saw in the show, and the fact that he was bigger than most G1 combiners, though I do hope to pick him up again at some point for a future review, but in the meantime, I am more than good with this guy. Check him out, nice and smooth and sleek, and an accurate paint job, and the detail is amazing, so zoom in, and check out the face. I call these his shoulder pillars, the detail on his body, the Decepticon symbol, his 4-pack with the red abs, the arms, his arm cannon, classic Galvatron, the legs. Zoom out, spin him around, and there's only a little bit of compromise on the back. I mean, honestly, this is better than some of the studio series I've reviewed up to this point. And the articulation is just as good. So, full exorcist action with his head, make him nod up and down. His arm does have full range of motion, but sometimes this tank tire gets in your way. Same thing with his elbow. You can bend it up and down, twist it around, but sometimes you get some interference from this thing. Twist his fist around, twist his waist, full range of motion with his legs, twist his thigh, bend his knee, and his ankle. Awesome design, no doubt. Now let's go ahead and transform him. Starting with the legs, take his little heels, rotate them around and tuck them into the bottom of his feet. Untab these panels on his calves. Swing them around and tab them into the side of his legs. Rotate his legs out and tab them together. Make sure everything lines up on the back here. Alright, now his upper half. Take off his arm cannon, set that aside and we'll come back to it. Take his fists, tuck them in. Rotate up his forearms, tab them into his shoulders. So 1 and 2. Now bring these tank tires around and move them into position. There's no tab, it's really more of a guide. Swing out these little skirt flaps. Untab his arms and drop them down. His back. This little tip's on a double hinge, so rotate it back and tab it into place right here. Now bring this whole piece back. Open up this circular part. Untab the chest plate, rotate it back, tuck his head in all the way. Now bring the chest plate forward, close this back up, and bring his chest down as far as you can, just like this. Now rotate the back piece around and tap it into place right here. Raise up his legs, tab them into place. Now drop down the arms, tab the skirt flap into his shoulder pillar here. So 1 and 2. Alright. And now we tab these into position. Got a little connection right there. Just give this a little pressure. Alright. And same with the other one. Oh, that one looks like it already tabbed itself in. Alright, looking good. Oh, this one didn't quite go in all the way, so give that some pressure. There we go. Now we're looking good. Okay. Get these wheels into position. Now drop down the legs. Bring out these stabilizers from the back. Almost done. Set him down for a second. Get the cannon back out here. Separate the cannon from the holder. The holder will get tabbed into place on his back. And then the cannon goes right in the front here. And there he is in his cannon mode, ready to blast Starscream into dust. Check him out. And he actually does have some articulation in his alt mode. Move this aside. He has little wheels on his underside here, so you can roll him around a little and have him change position. Good for short range attacks like he did on the show. Let's bring this back out and focus on the appearance, because this right here is a case where I would say that his alt mode looks just as good as his bot mode. I am not really seeing any compromise here. Maybe a tiny bit here on the back, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. You never spend a whole lot of time actually looking at that anyway. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Alright, let's go ahead and transform him back. So, take off the holder here, take off the cannon, and we'll come back to them. Bring up these stabilizers, bring up his legs, untab his legs from the back piece, untab the arms, untab the skirt flap from the shoulder pillars, raise the arms up, untab this back piece, bring that back, raise up his chest plate, open up this circular piece here, bring the chest plate back, bring his head back out, bring it back around all the way, tab the chest plate back into place, close this back up, raise his camera a little, bring the legs down, tab this into place right here, tab in the back piece, okay, untab this little tip, bring it back up all the way, bring his arms up, tab them back into place, straighten up these shoulder pillars, swing back in these skirt flaps, move these tank tires back, untab his forearms from his shoulders, bring his fists back out, untab his legs, rotate them back around, bring back out his little heels, untab these panels from his legs, rotate them back around, and tab them back into place on his calves. So 1 and 2. Make sure that tip stays straight. There we go. Set him down. And then finally, reconnect the cannon to the holder here. And tab it back into his arm. You can tab it either into his forearm or on his upper arm here. That's where I tab it in. Just looks a little bit better. And back to a bot. And I am just loving this Legacy United Galvatron. I know that they have a Studio Series version of him coming out soon-ish, and I can't wait to see what they do with that. But that wraps up this video. Join me for my next one. Until then, good night, Transformers fans.